This is Shaun Sport in podcast form.
Wow, Adelaide's
from
low.
Shaun and Clark.
That's right. Alex Neil-Bullen thought he was just going to get away with an easy run-in goal there, Clarky, but you put the wheels to work and
Jeez, you
chased him
can feel
down.
fast.
Yeah, no, I gave him a bit of a ski rope just so I could bring him back down to earth a little bit. To be honest, it was my blue. I let him go aside, as you know, Shawnee. It's not what you want to do as a defender, and
No.
I had to do something about
Make
it.
up for it.
I have
you
seen,
made up for it.
I reckon I've seen you a couple of times a year have a running race with someone. I feel like you enjoy the opportunity to either chase someone
It's
down
like-
or beat them back to the ball.
It's like when you see a greyhound at the park.
Yeah,
and it's allowed to
100%.
just go for a run and really just goes full tilt.
No, I do enjoy it. Yeah, I like. Yeah.
Pins the ears back, off it
I
goes.
think I love being undersold too, and blokes give me that look to go, I think I've got you covered, and I just
Yeah, and you're like,
reach
you
into the
have
bag
it.
a little bit.
Yeah.
righto.
Just drop it down another gear.
Yeah.
Did
Put
you
the
see,
afterburners on.
the one with Libba chasing down Bradley Hill the other week?
Yeah, Libba, that was just pure will and determination, I think.
Yeah.
He just...
Brad Hill's quick, yeah?
Yeah, but I did say to my sons, I said, Brad Hill had another gear. He thought he had another gear. He looked like he was a little gassed, but he didn't hit that gear.
Yes.
And he thought that he'd be able to run past Libba.
And he didn't.
And he didn't, which is great. And a lot of people probably see Jordan
great to
sometimes
see.
and don't realise how quick he is. So that's the best part.
Yeah, no, I love it. Yeah, Brad Hill definitely had Libba covered. I think he just went back for the stiff arm, which one, stiff arm and Libba's never going to work.
No.
They're the best tacklers in the game, so use your God-given gifts there, Hilly, and get away from him, I reckon.
Yeah, no doubt.
Do you ever say anything after you tackle someone? You just whisper in the ear, gotcha.
No,
I
you
don't
just
know.
strut,
Yeah,
just
you
strut
got to.
away.
You got to.
Do
Every
you?
now and then.
Nah. Oh, no, I haven't really.
You let
Usually I'm blowing.
your running do the talking.
Yeah, no, I don't.
Blown too hard to say anything.
Not much I can say to Alex Neil-Bullen that's going to unsettle him, I don't reckon, so...
Shawnee, was it Crowley that used to always chirp in people's ears? Ryan Crowley?
Oh, Krause, yeah, that's all he did. He talked the whole time.
Talker.
You
was
had
real-
a bit to say, didn't you?
Oh, I always like to talk, yeah.
What would you
Always like
say?
to I don't know.
You can't say it on the radio.
Most of it was threatening in a way, Ross.
Yeah, I can see that.
Luke Toyer was the funniest guy I spoke. He was the funniest bloke. And the Carr brothers were the ones who always had mail on somebody. So
Yeah,
before
right.
a game, they'd
So
come up
they
to you
knew
and
the
tell you,
goss.
you know, whatever team we were playing, they would always have something to say. Hey, this will get him. You know,
They really
and
thought
you
it
just
through.
hammer them. Yeah.
Who's the chatter at the Dockers at the moment? Is there anybody that plays that way?
No, I don't really
No.
reckon we have too many boys that will go out of their way and start talking a bit of crap, but there would be a few boys that would be good at it if they got in a verbal. Luke Ryan would probably be pretty handy.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I reckon Shea Bolton and that up, like they, got some good chat, and they back it up. That's
Yeah, that's the
Yeah,
thing.
they- oh, yeah, that's
that's
right.
what makes it so good. Is
Yeah.
sometimes you don't actually need to say anything. You
Yeah.
just do something, and then you just look
Yeah.
over and go, "Well,
Yeah.
how about that?"
Yeah.
Clarky, when Peter Bell was playing at North Melbourne, he said that when they got into a tight tussle with the opposition, then Wayne Carey would take over the game, right? So he would get in the huddle three-quarter time. Dennis Pagan would
Just
give him a big rev up, all this kind of stuff.
go
and
and buy some chips at the cafe.
Yeah, and then Wayne would call him in just before they were about to run out. Boys, just kick it to me. And then he would just start abusing the players that were at Wayne would around. Just kick it. He'd just be yelling out, just keep kicking it, just keep kicking it to me. And they'd kick it anywhere near him. He'd mark the ball and kick a goal.
Yeah.
And he'd just berate the opposition. And then they'd get over the line. I said, yeah, see, told you.
Yeah, right. If my
how
forward
good.
started doing that to me, I reckon I'd walk off the ground.
It would be demoralising
flat.
if someone could back it up like he could back in the day.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Now, speaking backing it up, you need to back up the performance from the weekend, and you're playing another team that's under fire. The last time you did that, which was a couple of weeks ago against Melbourne, you were terrible, to be honest. I was really frustrated with
Not
that
you
game.
personally.
The team was.
Yeah.
And everyone could see
Look
it
at
coming
his-
from a
his little
mile away.
face,
It was just like,
fella.
oh my
Stop being
God, we
mean
can
to
all
him.
see this coming, for God's sake. Likewise, this week, Ross the boss, mate, when he bakes a team, they are completely baked and they'll be ready to perform.
Yeah, no, I agree. Nat just tried to give me a little out that I wasn't that terrible, but I was shit house a couple of weeks ago. So
Thanks for bringing that up, Shaun.
yeah, that's all right.
No.
But no, yes, you're right. We have had trouble backing up some good wins this year, and we got our ass handed to us against Melbourne. But yeah, this week you're right. Ross the boss. He's a very good coach.
Yep.
He coaches a little bit differently to how the modern game's played at times.
He does.
So, and if anyone who's known Ross or played under Ross, he likes to change his game plan week to week and try
so the
different things.
unpredictability of it makes it hard to do your intel on and that kind of thing.
Yep. So we'll probably face a bit of different stuff this week that we haven't faced this year, and it might be frustrating. It might be low scoring. Given we know how he likes to defend and that sort of thing, he likes to get a lot of numbers back.
Like one of those Dower struggles, basically.
Well, I think as much as you said, he likes to throw. I think it's pretty easy to scout. I mean, first of all, he's going to tag Caleb. That's going to happen.
Yeah.
Then he's going to have a defensive forwards playing, because at the moment Fremantle are one of the best teams at chaining it out through the half-back. So you're likely to have someone play on you. Have you had someone play on you in the past?
Yep.
Okay, so they'll go to Jordan probably, and they may look to jump on somebody else. So you already know this is going to happen. If they get numbers back they won't be out. They will need to get numbers back in their forward line and almost have it as a one-on-one so that they can defend and press, so you can stop the ball going forward in the way that Fremantle chains it through the forward line, back line.
Yeah, no, you're dead right. He will have matchups, whether that is Caleb or Andy. I think Andy's also in some.
He's flying,
ripping,
flying.
He played so well.
Yeah.
He played so well last Friday.
No, they're both going really well.
Yeah.
But no, the beauty of that is, other boys get to step up, and when you get run with, it's about how can you help the team in a different way this week. So, no, it'll be a good battle. I think, we have scouted that they might come to someone, but I doubt it would be me. But if it is, it is.
Ain't too fast anyway.
Yeah, can't catch you.
He's going to play on you.
No, there's blokes out there quicker than me. But, it makes for an interesting battle this week. Obviously, Ross is a bit of a tactician. He's got that hard edge about him, so no doubt his players copped a fair old bake during the week, and they'll be rolled up, ready to go.
Couple of players on the way back too. We know that Luke Jackson's available to play. There's a few other guys that Nathan O'Driscoll's taken some steps forwards to coming back. There's a couple of other guys I might be missing that are coming back from injury very shortly.
Yep. You've put me on the spot. But Driz is coming back from an ankle. It'd be good to see him come back. He was in some nice form before he went down with injury.
Michael Walters is training back on the track for the first time.
Yep, Michael Walters back after, I don't even know what it was in there. I think bone bruising or something like that. Something with his knee.
Old age.
Yeah.
Just getting old Sonny. He's about 40 now, isn't he?
Still gets a haircut every week?
Every 2 days, I think, at this point. It's got worse than that. It'd be good to have big Lukey Jackson back, big dogger. He just changes the whole makeup of our team, and it'll help Shaun out as well in the ruck, I think. Shaun's had to come back after a year or so out of the game and had to be full-timer almost. So to give him a chop out and be out there would be nice for Swag. I'm sure he's looking forward to it.
Clarky, it's such an interesting season where if you're off your game for a heartbeat, you kick to the curb, right? And not only that you're beaten by the opposition, but from day to day, right? So
the ladder movements are swinging wildly,
but also the commentary. They're a great team. Yeah. They're not a good team. How do they lose that game? They're a great team again. How do you deal with the day to day?
Well, I don't really listen to the media side of it.
Until you throw it in his face when he comes in here, Shaun.
No, I was off that game. I was just so disappointed. Have I mentioned it?
You weren't the only one. You should have been there when JL taught us what he thought of it.
Good.
But no, it was a bit savage this morning.
I know. What's wrong with you?
No, that's my team. I take it personally.
Would have been nice watching in Bali, was it? I don't really look into it too much.
Yeah.
The media is paid to have their opinions, and that's the reality of it. They're always going to have an opinion, and if it's wrong or it's right, it doesn't really matter at the end of the day, does it? So, and what they think of us, that doesn't really determine how we're going to play or change my view on what I think of our team. And let's face it, they're not inside the four walls every day and doing the work that we're doing. So, have your opinion based on what you see week to week. And, like you said, it often changes.
Yeah, often. Absolutely.
Well,
good luck this weekend. It's going to be a ripper. Actually, looking forward to Friday night game. It's going to be a ripper at Marvel.
Yeah, no, it'll be good. Prime time for the Dockers.
Yeah.
Looking forward to it.
Definitely.
Nice one. All right.
Good luck, Clarky.
Shaun Sport in podcast form.
We do have the big Pav in the house. Always great to catch up with him. We'll be talking sport in a second, Pav, but we just had some callers on a second ago about sending messages and or photos to the wrong person.
Okay.
Ever been down that route?
Not that I can think of off the top
Have you
of my head.
received anything?
You get some weird ones every now and then on social media from various punters, but no, I don't think
Just
no
from
dangerous
Shaun?
ones.
No day. Yeah, just Shaun in his cock jocks as usual. getting ready for a swim down at Port Beach. Morning, boys. No, I don't think there's anything that I can think of. I think I remember my sister once she must have been racing with her 3 kids, and she sent me a message that, said a word that said, C-O-C-K instead of something else, and it was being completely, auto text wrong. But I can't think of anything. No, what about you? Have you done anything?
No, not bad ones. No,
Yeah.
no.
Not as bad as it could have been.
I've got 2 Ben Roberts in my phone, so I often when I go to call Ben Roberts from Fox Footy, I often call Ben Roberts from the AFL, and as soon as he picks up, I say, "Oh, sorry, mate, I've done it again." That happens quite regularly. Almost every time. I'm going to have to put the subtext.
That
after
would be a
the
great
name.
idea.
I just don't get around to it.
So there's one guy that we're mates with that you would ring to get people's numbers in the AFL if you need to speak to him. It's Brad Weir, right? So you ring him, and I did this to him. Hey, Spew, we're just trying to get. I can't remember whose number I was trying to get, and he would always give you either Damien Drum's number, which I never knew, obviously, and I didn't like, or Clive Waterhouse's.
Oh, yeah, that's good.
Here it is, 04, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And you'd be ringing up.
Hey, g'day, Shorty, how are you?
It's been a while. What's going on here? What do you
And
say?
you had to pretend that you were
just gotta
calling
pretend
him
to go with
for a
it.
catch-up.
How's the family?
I gotta go.
How's Parliament drumming?
Exactly. Nationals, all the rest of it. Anyway, Pav, there's a couple of things I wanted to talk to you about, and a couple of them are to do with the tribunal at the moment.
Yeah.
We did see Paul Curtis go up.
Yeah.
Josh Sin was concussed after a tackle that he was a rundown tackle. And I know we've seen this throughout the season over the last probably couple of years, but it seems like they're really going hard here.
Yeah, and it's about the consequence here, which I think current players are paying the penalty for future historical bad management of concussion and potentially future litigation. I don't think Paul could have done much more. He actually he landed on his side. Yes, he drove him into the ground, but it was just because he was tackling him. And the incident last year where Dan Butler tackled Nick Blakey from Sydney. The only reason he was originally sanctioned for that, but went to the tribunal and said that I released one arm. And it's literally at the last minute of that tackle as Dan Butler sort of puts Nick down, he just releases an arm, and the tribunal said, "Oh, that's reasonable in the circumstance that you actually mitigated his fall." And Paul Curtis didn't do that. And we're asking a lot of our players
we're talking split-second decisions, aren't we?
Yeah, we are. Now, should it be suspendable event? Possibly, but it shouldn't be 3 weeks. It shouldn't be 3 weeks. And I think this is the issue in the MRO matrix they go severe, careless and high. Automatically, that's 3. I think there needs to be a complete overhaul, particularly as it relates to tackles and certain incidents that are football related, like a tackle, like a marking contest or whatever, that if you do concuss someone, then, okay, well, that's the consequence. We don't want concussion in our game. You are suspended, but it's not 3 weeks. It should possibly be 1 week.
They're trying to fit the offence into the existing system when it's not really intended to work
Exactly
that way.
right.
Yeah.
The existing system, MRO system, is black and white. The game is grey, a bit like my hair.
Yeah. But very good.
Salt and
But very
pepper.
good.
Salt and pepper. So there's so much grey area in the game. This guy, Paul Curtis, has tackled. He's done all he probably could to the duty of care aspect, and yet Sin's been forced forward and his head hits the ground. He's concussed. And it's 3 weeks automatically. I just think that's too
So I
severe.
remember a few years ago, the Nick Nat, it was in a similar scenario where he laid what was essentially a legal tackle, but the consequences of that were that the guy got injured and he was suspended for that.
that one and a number of them are it's the double action driving.
Yes.
So I think that's fair enough that we've all moved on to the fact that if you drive someone into the ground and then concussed, then that's an issue. Whereas if it's in the motion of tackling, I think that's the one they need to review. And as I said, it's not black and white when it comes to the system.
And from
the
a
MRO.
coach's point of view, you want your players laying tackles like this.
100%.
You want them to be showing that endeavour to going all in, to not being on the back foot.
And we'll get to Ross Lyon in a minute in terms of what his spray at quarter time to Garcia and what the Dockers are coming up against on Friday night, how red hot the Saints will be. But this is the point. He talked about it. We were fumbling the ball. We were missing tackles. So the players have got it in their mind that, okay, the coach is going to be on to me, so I need to lay this tackle, if they do it in a way that is appropriate, but unfortunately the guy is concussed, it can't just be 3 weeks.
No,
I think
that's right.
It could be 1 week.
Yes.
But it needs to be changed to as I said, I guess, allow for the grey areas that are involved in our game.
So, Pav, you'd have a better understanding of this than me. So we're talking about footy acts, right?
We're talking about anything.
Can the players, when they're signing documents and or looking for insurance from the AFL under, playing the game, can they sign a thing saying that footy acts, that you're not going to come after the game afterwards because you're concussed or something along those lines?
This is a big thing. You're talking about
the
total
whole
and
thing
permanent
comes
disability and insurance.
Yep, all these suspensions are coming down. The AFL don't want to be losing money left, right, and centre over people having a crack at them in later life.
Well, I think it's twofold. I think one, they are legitimately concerned for the player well-being, but also the litigation aspect. So it's
huge.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's what I'm saying. I think current players are now being penalised on the basis of historic poor management about concussion and potential future litigation that's coming, which is not right. Should we be more careful of players' heads and concussion? Absolutely. But again, we go back to that act, that football act, that tackle isn't at 3 weeks. It's probably a 1 week incident. The insurance issue is a big one for AFL players. We can't be, when we played, Shawnee, we had limited total and permanent disability insurance. We didn't have income protection insurance. There was a lot of things you put yourself at risk for and open yourself up because of the game that we chose to play. And there's very limited, if you do get injured severely, the payout insurance-wise is minimal as compared to probably every other workplace that's out there. So,
and you shouldn't treat concussion any differently to other permanent injuries. So
no, and that has changed a bit. So if someone does get concussed and it is proven that they can no longer play, it's a career-ending injury because of concussion, then there are payouts as a result of that. But they're not as significant as people would think they would be.
Yeah.
It's a percentage of their contract. So Angus Brayshaw is probably the highlighted case in this one. I think he had a 3-year contract, 4-year contract to go. He obviously finished, so he'll get a percentage of that contract going forward. So, it's a decent payment, but
it's not like a normal workplace.
No way. Yeah. Nowhere near it. No. And I think that...
And we're talking about lifelong consequences as well.
100%. And that's the scary thing, which is why a tackle like this and the sanction is probably there, but I go to it as
the severity of the sanction when the intent wasn't there to cause that injury,
Another story before we get to the football is Jamara Ugle-Hagan. He is not playing at the Western Bulldogs, and it's been an arm wrestle between himself, I guess, in the Western Bulldogs, whether he's coming back, whether he's going to train once a week, no weeks. Sometimes he turned up. So clearly there's a mental health aspect towards it. Both parties have decided to,
take time
put their friendship on hold at this point in time. Can any other club pick him up? Would you pick him up next year? He won't be playing at the Bulldogs because it's too hard.
With the information that we have, no, you wouldn't. I wouldn't be taking that risk. It sounds like he's, personal issues and mental health, in inverted commas. But the reality is he's choosing a life that isn't in line with AFL football and the standards that you'd expect within an AFL club environment. So I think Luke Beveridge, his coach, said it well, is that Jamara is saying he wants to play and perform and train, but his actions are the opposite of that.
Yeah.
So I would find it very hard that, unless there's enough proof over a long period of time. I think about when we thought about having a chat to the likes of Wayne Carey and Ben Cousins obviously had a long period along with a couple of the other Eagles players. Who else? I'm just trying to think back in the day. Maybe there was a few others that we considered, but in the end, you can't be beholden to talent. You have to set a standard and play a hard line.
It's a fine line. You've got to, there are redemption stories. There are people that have managed to turn it around.
Jesse Hogan is one.
Jesse Hogan is a really good example. Now he's, flourishing.
But the great man who we're going to talk about in a second, he would say, act yourself in, act yourself out, wouldn't he, straight away?
Yeah, 100%. And that, Ross would be very, we probably had a couple of examples where, guys weren't upholding the standards, and it's exactly right. You can't be beholden to that talent, and either you act your way into the environment or you act your way out, and you can only be judged by action, you can't be judged by words. And at the moment, Jamara, unfortunately, is finding himself in strife off the field, and that's his words are saying, "I want to be back," but his actions aren't being back.
Mate, he's giving away millions of dollars because he's out of contract. He'd be full on. Anyway, Ross Lyon, the St Kilda bandwagon. Fremantle get to tackle them, and it seems like it's going to be one of those weeks where you're coming up against a team who's been poked, raw meat, and poked with a stick.
It's like the boss has been away or the teacher's been away at school for a little while, and you know it's coming. Like the boss is coming back. It's going to be on. That's what St Kilda are going to throw at the Dockers, and Ross would have been fuming and ruthless this week with them. The footage I saw at quarter time gave me a sense of 2012. Where
did you
straight back to that moment?
Do you have PTSD?
I do. I think we all do to some extent. But I know there's been some commentary, it's too harsh, times have changed. It's like, well, sometimes you have to say it exactly as it is and be completely ruthless. If the actions and behaviours out there on the field aren't being adhered to, and there's, I think he said it, roll the eyes moment, where we've all been there with your kids or with people at work, you're like, they need a bake. They need a bit of feedback, and he was the best at doing that. So Freo have to be ready. I heard Justin Longmuir say it in his press conference yesterday. We've heard it a number of times that we know what's coming. It's St Kilda's best ever. It's just whether or not they're up for it. And that's the challenge for this Fremantle group. They didn't handle it well against Melbourne 2 weeks ago when Simon Goodwin and their backs were against the wall. It's the side of maturity. Can the likes of Caleb Sarong, Andy Brayshaw, Alex Pearce, that leadership group that responded last week against the Crows, can they make sure they do the same against on Friday night? It should be a great game.
Do you remember, apart from you getting the bake over the jumper situation, do you remember a couple of other...
Oh, yeah. Like, if we were playing poorly and we had, let's start at the top, and he would always go to the captain. And
yeah, right. And you're like, oh, great.
Pavlich, one tackle for the year. So, he would always, let's start at the top.
Like, do we have to?
So you knew it was coming. So
there's so much humour in hindsight.
And he talks about it. He's like, did I actually really say that? Like, his eyes must roll back, and he just goes bang, bang,
he
bang.
He goes into that, white line fever too.
Yeah, and his talk about the action and consequently, I mean, his thing was execute one to educate 1,000.
Mm. Yeah. Oh, okay.
So
great.
as in, we're going to torch the captain, or we're going to torch Paul Riley Garcia at quarter time to make sure everyone else falls in line, and generally it works.
Yeah. All right. So
a lot of humour just thinking about it.
All right, you two go and have your group therapy. Thanks so much, Fran. We'll catch you again soon.
Shaun Sport is a Nova podcast. For more great comedy shows like this, head to novapodcast.com.au.